current plan is, because it is Ron Johnson and Rick Scott. So Ron Johnson again. But I want to do another clip here with Ana Kasparian from the Young Turks, and she's going to elaborate on this a little bit more by looking at what the Fox 5 say. What did the Fox say?
Especially the show The Five, made a mistake that they usually don't make. They had a Democrat on who made a good point about, Republicans and their endless efforts to gut social spending programs, including Social Security and Medicare. Now, these are programs that poll very well, not just among Democratic voters, but also Republican voters, which is why Republicans have failed time and time again in doing away with Social Security or privatizing Social Security or cutting Social Security. But nonetheless,
I want to make a point on that. When she points that out, it's if you go across the board, over 70% of Americans. More people support Social Security than abortion or affirmative action or you name it. School lunches, fluorescent light bulbs don't even have as many supporters.
Let's just be honest here. It's really tough to say that you're going to be against something that you probably have a family member that is dependent on.
Yeah.
Democrat or Republican, I'm sorry, I challenge you, show me an average middle class family, or not even middle class, that doesn't have somebody in their family that's largely dependent on Social Security for their retirement.
Right. And you figure 65 million Americans. Right. That's like 1 in 5.5 people. You're walking down the street, you see 4 other people. One of you probably has Social Security or is collecting, right? Just statistically. But the bottom line is that doesn't just cover old people. It covers people with disabilities. It covers widowers and widows. It does a lot of other things, right? And then Medicaid and Medicare are attached to it too. So it's a big deal. And so if you're talking about cutting it, we all pay into it, right? So to say, well, we're going to cut what you get back, it's like, it's an insurance program is what it is. But if you paid into your insurance and the insurance company said, we decided we're going to reduce the benefit that you've been paying into for however many years, some people decades, you'd be a little pissed off. I'm just saying.
Right. Especially because you think that you're buying an insurance policy that's going to pay you XYZ amount, and you're going to pay XYZ amount for it every month, and you sort of feel like you've got a bargain there,
Yeah.
So Social Security is a very similarly structured program.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I would be absolutely livid if my insurance company said, oh, that policy that you bought that was, $250,000, we're thinking $175.
Yeah. Yeah, not after years. You'd be livid, right?
I'd be livid.
But that's what the Republicans are trying to do. So this is why we're bringing it up, because it's important, because most people are going to the voting booths because it's the elections this coming Tuesday, and they don't realize that that's what they're voting for, is to cut their Social Security. Right? So to be political, I will be political on this one. If you're voting for a Republican, you're voting to cut your Social Security. That is just a fact at this point.
Yeah, I really don't want anyone doing that.
But that's what's happening right now. That's why we've I know we're slow, guys, because we're still new at this. This is only episode 5 for us, so we're a little slow, but we're getting there. We're getting there. But anyway, she's gonna jump into this a little bit more. But I want you to watch. This is Fox News, the Fox 5. This is what the conservatives actually think.
All right, so this is the Fox.
What was that?
This is the Fox Fab
5. The Fox 5.
Look at this interaction between Jessica Tarlov.
Have you ever seen this show before? Lace?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Okay, let me just give you a breakdown. So the Fox 5, it's 4 conservatives, and they have 1 Democrat that they yell at.
so basically, they've chosen their one lefty that they just pummel over and over again.
Right. It's 4 bullies and
I hope that they pay that lefty really well to sit and take that.
well, the problem is a lot of times she makes good points, and then they have to cut her off. So
And Jesse Waters.
what's this?
And the one thing that he hit that I do not understand, right, is at the core of the Democratic message is what happens if Rick Scott's plan goes into effect to Medicare and Social Security. And you should all, it's about a 1.5-minute clip of him talking about Social Security and how people in Wisconsin work their whole lives to get that money. And that if Republicans get into office, they're going to means test things. They're going to scale back entitlements that you've worked for. And I do not know why Democrats aren't leading with that.
Can I ask you,
Because it doesn't work.
can I ask you a serious question?
Well,
What Republican president recently has attacked and gone after and reduced Social Security?
no one has been able
No one.
to. Right. But
And
that
how
doesn't
many
mean that it
Republican
isn't a
presidents
plan.
have we had in the last 50 years? Had quite a lot, but they've never actually done what they're always being accused of.
Is it in Rick Scott's plan? In his commitment
The
to
one
America?
Republican in the entire Senate, yes. The one.
So Duncan, did they represent this accurately?
Well,
Like,
did
Duncan,
well, I mean, in the sense, did any Republican president pull it off? No. But
they have it a part of their plan.
well, Trump definitely was considering doing it in his second term. There was definitely a lot of discussion about that. The last president, like I said, Obama, was willing to do it for the debt ceiling. Not because he wanted to, but for the debt ceiling. George W. Bush, in his second term, tried to privatize Social Security, which would have essentially destroyed it. Which would have meant instead of getting it from the government and getting it guaranteed by the federal government, you'd have to go to a private insurance company. A little bit like the student loan thing we went through not too recently, right? And then this goes all the way back to Reagan. And Reagan wanted to make Social Security totally voluntary, which would have essentially destroyed it. Because rich people wouldn't want to do it. So they wouldn't have to pay into it. Right? And there'd be a lot of poor people who wouldn't want to do it because they'd want the extra money. And so it would eventually it would have just destroyed the program. So I want to understand this too with the Republicans on this. I read an article recently. I wish I'd have clipped it. I'll try and find it and put it down there. But basically, they brought in all these people, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, whatever, right? And they told them, yeah, this is what the Republicans have proposed. And almost none of the people believed it. They're like, oh, no, they'd never cut Social Security. No. And they were all wrong. So she made a good point, the girl in the Fox 5, I forget her name, which is, yeah, this is what the Democrats should have been leading with for the last 2 months, is these people want to take away your Social Security. They want to cut it, right? And it puts it into a position where every 5 years, all federal conditions like this, all laws that are federal laws that are conditions like this, have to be revoted on. So Social Security would have to be revoted on to continue every 5 years. And if the Republicans were in power, they wouldn't have to vote against it. All they'd have to do is refuse to vote. And Social Security would be canceled. If their proposal goes through. Fortunately, right now, for that proposal to go through, Biden would have to sign off on it. He still has veto power.
And he would clearly never do this.
Well, I would hope so.